America's pastime was in its prime on minor league diamonds and in parks and lots across Minnesota.
So in 1960, I'm 14 years old. Baseball is still, for me, my biggest sport. All of my friends every day, we played, again, summertime baseball and that type of stuff. I had been to Miller games, I had been to Saints games.
Minnesota was a hotbed of minor league baseball. You had the St. Paul Saints and you had the Minneapolis Millers. High-profile people, high-profile players.
And had Duke Snyder playing for them. Willie Mays, Ted Williams, Carl Yastrzemski played for the Millers, so they were good teams.
But by the 50s, minor league teams were now treated more like farm teams, with their major league parent teams calling up star players. And when the Boston Braves moved to Milwaukee, Minnesota wanted to upgrade to the majors as well.
We were going to attract a Major League Baseball team. We needed a better place for that team to play.
Minneapolis's old Nicollet Park wasn't the solution, and civic leaders started to explore options for a major league ballpark.
There was a movement that started in the early 1950s, mostly centered in the Minneapolis business community, to get a big league stadium built.
Across the river, St. Paul built the first Midway Stadium with the hopes that a major league team would play some of its games in the capital city.
So the St. Paul interests were hoping that a new Major League Baseball team would play games in both stadiums. There was even a petition drive. The St. Paul mayor was getting into it and saying, you have to play some of your games here or we're going to boycott you.
The decades-old rivalry was on again.
They were known as the Twin Cities, but in a lot of ways, they didn't think of themselves as twins.
But the national trend in sports facilities, as with homes and shopping malls, was to build in the suburbs.
The Minneapolis contingent came up with this plan to build a stadium in Bloomington. The place was agricultural land. It was a cornfield.
They had plenty of room for the stadium, for parking, and it could be seen as sort of a compromise that this is not a Minneapolis team or a St. Paul team, it's a Minnesota team.
And so in 1956, Met Stadium in Bloomington opened. It was considered pretty state-of-the-art for the time, and the Minneapolis Millers made that their home. But the Millers were a AAA team. That's not why the stadium was built.
And still at that point, Major League Baseball had no goal whatsoever to expand. A group of people who had been trying to get Major League Baseball to expand finally got fed up and said, you know what, we're going to start our own league. They were going to start the Continental League. It was going to be a third major league, and they wanted to put a team in Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Along with the pressure of a competing league came the pressure from the press.
Hello, neighbors.
The Coles family, which owned the Minneapolis Tribune, they really thought that sports was really good for civic pride and for the community, and it was going to help the community grow.
When they were recruiting the Washington Senators to move to the Twin Cities, the sports editor of the Minneapolis Tribune, a guy named Charlie Johnson, was part of the entourage among civic leaders. And so this was a different era when newspapers, not only on their editorial pages, but in their sports staffs, were much more active as civic boosters.
Today, it would be considered a conflict of interest.